All right. So, what we're going to do now is a little practice exercise, a little warm up called value scales. If you're just getting used to your charcoals or if you haven't drawn in a while, this is a really great little activity that you can do in the corner of your sketchbook or on a blank sheet. So here you can see I'm just going to use a nice little corner of my sketchbook. And with this value scale exercise, we're basically going to practice coloring with our pencil from the darkest black to the white of the paper. In exploring this full range of values and seeing them on the paper, we're not only helping ourselves to practice what it feels like to play with different pressures, to play with different layering that we're going to be doing in our full-fledged drawings, but also this is a great way for us to remember that we are responsible for this full spectrum in our drawings. So of course, here you can see that I'm making two little value scales to start off with. One I am going to leave unblended, and this bottom one I am going to blend. So again, I like to start off with my darks when I'm practicing a value scale because I know that to be true. But of course, if you want to practice working from light to dark, that is definitely your prerogative. Again, the value scale is all about warming up. It's practicing. Don't think too hard about it. But of course, recognize that from the darkest of darks to the white of the paper, we want to capture this full spectrum of nuance. So now I'm going to practice blending. You can see here that I'm pulling out a little Q-tip because my value scales are pretty small. So I want a nice little tiny tool that's going to be a little bit more nuanced than my fingers, but you're welcome to use your fingers, a rag, any of the other tools that were discussed. So in blending, we're basically moving the little pigments around because no doubt you've noticed that the charcoal is a bit looser than your graphite, right? You have all these particles of pigment that you're using. And when you color, depending on the tooth and texture of your paper, you are likely to notice little speckles of white of the paper shining through in between where the pigment has been placed on the paper. So when we use blending, we're basically moving those pigments around and pushing them into the paper for a smoother look. So now that we have these 2 points of comparison, we now know what we're capable of with the tools, and we can then bring this into our still life drawing and recognize that we can get some different textures by simply just working blending versus not blending. So like I mentioned, this is a great little practice exercise. It just needs to take a couple minutes, and you can do this at the start of your drawing exercises for the day.